Ironman Arizona. Looking good off the swim. Looking pretty good into the bike as well. Talk us through what happened.
At Ironman Arizona, an absolute blow to the soul. So all week, I flew out there on Wednesday, and before I flew, felt pretty decent. Got there, pretty smooth, direct flight, London to Phoenix. 15 minutes on an Uber to where we're staying from the airport. So really smooth trip, probably one of the easiest you can get. Got there, felt good. Next day, went out for a ride, and apart from it being extremely busy and trying not to get hit, the legs felt decent, felt great, and that was kind of the gist of it all the way into to race day. Really, I'd felt fantastic in the taper sessions, and I remember doing a run the day before, which was about 5k, and did a 1 mile pickup and felt great. Heart rate was like low for the pace, so all things were kind of showing themselves or presented themselves to be a really promising race and looking like I was going to be able to execute one of my best ones. But then disaster struck. So as Tyler said, swim went really well. I started to the right. A lot of the big hitters were on the left, but I kind of knew I was never going to be with the Menno Coolhouse and the front pack that with Ben Canoe and some big hitters in the swim. So for me, there wasn't really a massive incentive to start next to them where a lot of other people were, and then potentially be in a fight from the off and then lose the chase pack, which was my main goal. Because to be honest, I thought best case scenario, I get in the chase pack and we get out the water 3.5 minutes down. I was under no illusions that I was going to be making the front group and getting out in 48 minutes in the end. So I started to the right next to Simon Shee, and I think he kind of had a similar plan to me, although his plan was get a good start and I'll make the front group, which he did because he is a fantastic pool swimmer. But I think it's fair to say his open water swimming is nowhere near to the level of what his pool swimming is. So I started next to him, got on his feet for the first probably 50 metres, and it just pulled me clear of like all the guys that I was around. I saw the chase pack to the left, or that might have all been one line. I'm not entirely sure at that point, but I saw the guys probably about 20 metres to the left. And I kind of just gradually edged over and found myself in the chase group. And honestly, it was like really smooth from that point on, and managed to get out the swim in pretty much 52 minutes flat, 4 minutes down from the lead swim, feeling really good, like I'd not really worked too hard, and just behind Sam Long. But unfortunately for me in transition, I lost a bit of time. I'm just a bit sloppy, to be honest, in transition, and that's just definitely something I need to practice for next year, because you just end up losing a lot of unnecessary time. Anyway, got onto the bike and started it with Rasmus Svenningsson, who is an absolute hitter. He just won Ironman Chattanooga, which was the week before. Sorry, not the week before, a few weeks beforehand. And if anyone follows him on Strava, we call him the Terminator, because he just rides so hard all the time. Like he does 4 hour, 5 hour rides, average power 330 watts, 340 watts, including warm-ups and cool-downs. So the guy's an absolute beast. So I started with him. Thought, well, I'm in good place here. I'm like 4 minutes down from the lead, 4.5 minutes down from the front of the race. I'm with Rasmus. Sam's just up the road. Colin, who ended up coming fourth, was just up the road as well. So I kind of thought we'd end up catching that group, and then there would be a load of us strong cyclists that could potentially work together and try and close in on the lead. And that was all going smooth for the first lap, until after about 50 kilometres, 55 kilometres, I got a drafting penalty. And honestly, from that point on, that was when things took a big turn. So just before I went into the tent, I hit a massive pothole, or some kind of bump in the road. It was hard to see. There was quite a few at that point. It was the last like 5k before you get to transition, and there was loads of lines on where they'd spray painted for lumps and stuff on the road, and it was kind of hard to see exactly what it was. You were kind of just dodging wherever you could. But anyway, I thought at that time, oh no, have I punctured? Because it was such a big hit. I felt my tyre hit the rim, and I thought, oh, game over. Like, so annoying. I'm going to end up being in the penalty tent trying to fix a puncture. Got in there, felt my tyre straight away, fine. Went to get off the bike, and when I put some weight on the base bar, I felt it move, and I'm like, oh no. So while I'm in there, I'm trying to get, actually what I should say is, when I went in there, Rasmus, who I was riding with, there was just the two of us, we both got penalties. And what I will say is the refereeing and the officiating on the first lap of the course was absolutely shocking. I know Tom Davis, another Brit, got a penalty while he was in the lead group, and he said he had fantastic legs, and then ended up punching him 3 times. So that was him down and out, which is a massive shame because he was looks like he was on for the Ironman of his life. Zach, who I stayed with, Zach Cooper, he was about another 4 minutes behind me out the water. He was riding through everyone. He would have got the fastest bike split if you take the 3 minutes off that he lost, and he got a penalty while he was riding through people. He ended up riding 15-20 minutes quicker than. So make it make sense. Plus loads of others. There was probably about 8 or 9 people that got penalties, and there were some really bad calls, all in the first lap. Funny enough, it was predominantly Europeans. So, I mean, make of that what you will. I honestly think it was crazy. I mean, me and Rasmus were just riding together and we both ended up getting penalties, but what can you do? Anyway, stopped, tried to fix my base bar, couldn't do it, but it turns out, after further analysis after the race, the bump was so big that it pulled the threading for the screw out of the socket. So there was nothing really could do. It was pretty screwed, to be honest. Like it's a proper repair job needed on that because of the threading. But I didn't know, so I was trying to fix it while I was in there. Ended up losing about 3.5. I was probably stopped for about 3 minutes 20 because it took me a bit longer than the 3 minutes. Got rolling again, and at this point I was trying to stay positive, thinking no worries. 3 minutes stopped. That's not a big deal. I've had a lot worse in other races. You can still do a good race, and I thought no matter what, get to the run, and if you feel good on the run, try and do a really good marathon, and take that something positive, and you could probably run your way up to a good performance. Because I kind of thought, if you look at most Ironmans, and you added 3 minutes onto your time, you're probably still in the mix for a good result. So I was trying to keep positive, but then once I started, I never really felt that great. What I will say is, I looked at my heart rate data after the race, but I will go into that in a little while, since I finished. But for now, I'll just talk about what happened at the time. And started back again. Didn't feel very good. Power was about 20 to 30 watts lower at the start of the second lap, and I just didn't feel that good. But you're trying to stay positive, and I could see Zach, I could see Ari Clow, and I could see some other people towards the end of the second lap that were like closing in, and I thought, no worries, just use this lap to kind of get it done, tick the box. You're not riding that quick, but just damage limitation, if you will. And then the third lap, when they catch, go with them and finish the ride off strong. You'll probably be in a half decent position, and a good run, you can still get something decent out of this race and get a good result. There's still a good result. Potential podium is still on the cards if you have a great run. But start of the third lap, I felt even worse, and my legs just felt battered for some reason. It was very bizarre. And I just felt like I didn't have anything in me. I got to the point about 130 kilometers, maybe 135 k's. It must have been about 135 kilometers, 15k into the last lap, and I just stopped, and I just thought to myself, are you going to carry on feeling like this? I could have finished probably, but it would have just been very slow. It would have just been like limping along. There was nothing to gain from a professional point of view. The only thing to gain would have been to get the finisher's t-shirt, to tick it off and finish. And I just thought, you know what, feeling this bad, I just don't really want to carry on and just put myself through it, really. I just didn't feel good, wasn't really going to enjoy it if I felt like that. And to be honest, I was just so gutted. I just thought, again, something. And on further reflection, since I have been home and I've looked at the heart rate data, I can see that once I even during the penalty tent, when I was stopped in there, my heart rate never dropped below 111, which for me is quite high. Like, my max heart rate's about 175, 176 on the bike, and that's when I'm extremely fresh, I can get to that. Most of the time it'd be about 170 if I was doing a very hard session, in a normal training block, and push myself for a max heart rate. So heart rate just didn't drop off that much, and then once I started again, even though I was riding 30 watts or so lower, my heart rate was only like 2 beats less than what it was before, and that's including getting out of the swim onto the bike when it's normally at an elevated level. So that 3 minutes just didn't even really help me. Normally you'd expect you stop for 3 minutes and you start again. At least you're going to feel half decent once your legs kind of come round a bit, But it just didn't work like that for me. Just did not feel very good. And even when I was riding back to town after the stop, and I was riding at about 130, 140 watts, and my heart rate was about the same as what I did for a 3-hour ride in Norwich before I went, at 100 watts more. That's normally what I'd hold for about 240 watts. My heart rate would be around that. I mean, for instance, if anyone knows about done any testing, they know their zone 2. My zone 2 is normally about 120 to 140. So I was almost close to zone 2 power, but at 130, 140 watts, it was really weird. Just really frustrating, to be honest, because when things are gone well and your expectations are high, like from a personal point, my expectation going into this race was I honestly didn't see myself getting any worse than 5th, and thought, I should definitely be in the running for a podium, depending on how everyone else goes around me. But I thought I'm going to be in the mix. I just been going so well across all 3 disciplines. Did some really good rides in Gran Canaria, which were like 6-7 hours, and was really strong in the last few hours. So I thought, if I'm strong like that on these training rides, then that puts me in good stead for getting off the bike feeling good and being able to do a good run. But that's a sum up of my Arizona race, and it was a really big blow, to be honest. I've been feeling quite down, honestly, since then. I've tried to put it behind me, because at the end of the day, it's done. I can't go back. I can't change it. And a lot of people have asked me, am I going to do any more racing this year? And honestly, no. I just feel like with the way the last few years have gone, I just want to draw a line in the sand and put them behind me, and just look to have a good year next year. And all I want to do really on a race is just feel good and be able to execute one like my normal self. Like, I would say I've had 2 races this year where I've actually felt decent and been able to race to like the best of my ability, and that was the week before Nice, the 70.3, and Ironman New Zealand. Nice, to be fair, I did feel really good on the bike, but it was just the hilly course just didn't suit me, and the power for the first couple of hours came back to bite me. But New Zealand was like probably my best race of the year, just really solid across all 3, and it's just something that I'm hoping to have next year, just some races where you race to your ability and that get some consistency back. Because one thing that I used to be really good at would be turning up to a full distance, and I'd consistently race to the best of my ability. And obviously the last couple of years that's definitely not been the case. I've been very inconsistent, and it does kind of grate on you a bit, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to end the video on a low, but it's demoralising when you turn up to races like this. I think it doesn't matter what ability you are, all you want to do is just race to the best of your ability and get the results that you feel like the effort you've put in deserves and what your training reflects. And I've just been unable to do that. Putting this race behind me, putting 2024, 2025 behind me, just going to enjoy some training, building up very slowly in the build up for next year, and just enjoy training with the group in Norwich, getting some good sessions in, and getting my head in the right place for 2026, and hopefully, fingers crossed, have some great races that reflect the work that I've put in. And if you're still watching now, thanks very much. Cheers for all the support, everyone. Like, I've had loads of messages. I always get a lot of support, and honestly, in Arizona, the amount of people that I got come up to me saying that they watched the video and they hope I had a great race was really nice. And to be honest, it was just a bit embarrassing not being able to finish the race, and I felt really bad, like I'd let a lot of people down. And I just want to say thanks for everyone for bearing with me and following me. It means it really does mean a lot. And I hope I can do you guys proud in 2026 and get back with some consistency and be fighting at the pointy end of some races, but certainly just doing the best I can on the race course.
Yeah. Back to the base.